Welcome to the Sermon in the Valley with Pastor Rob Eller. You can find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast on any of those platforms and share it with your friends and family. Thank you. Welcome back to the Sermon in the Valley. That's right, I'm doing 2 days in a row with episodes. And in part, it's because, well, yesterday was St. Nicholas Day, and I wanted to do a special episode on St. Nicholas. But today is my normal Thursday episode, and this is a topic that's been on my mind, and I want to get it into an episode sooner rather than later. As we know, we are in the season of Advent, if you couldn't tell by my most recent sermon. And it's the season that prepares us for Christmas. Now, I know not every church celebrates Advent. It's usually the older mainline churches, the Catholic Church, most you could call legacy Protestant churches, Lutheran, Episcopal, Methodist, Presbyterian, and so on, UCC, and many of the other older denominations. The more evangelical ones, like the Baptist Church, Pentecostals, non-denomination, they don't necessarily celebrate Advent because it's really not, there's nothing in the Bible that says to celebrate it. It's not really a biblically based season. It's more of a lectionary based season. And many of those traditions don't really use the lectionary like the rest of us do. We use what's called the Revised Common Lectionary. Some other churches use their own creation of a lectionary, but what it is, it's a cycle where every 2 to 3 years we do different readings. So right now we're in what's known as Lectionary Year B. So from now until Christ the King Sunday next year, we'll be doing a set of readings, and then we go into Year C and then start over again with Year A. So because we're a lectionary-based tradition, we have the season of Advent. So not everyone does that, but that doesn't invalidate my feelings and my rant right now, because so often Advent is just rushed through. With the commercialization of Christmas, we just kind of blow past this season. We start seeing Christmas decorations and other Christmas items for sale in early October. Halloween hasn't even happened yet, and we already see stuff out for Christmas. And it just gets crazier from there. So once we hit November 1st, really starts getting the high gear. It's like, no, wait, we still got Thanksgiving at the end of November, and then we don't need to rush into everything, but we have this tendency to do that. We just, we get so excited, we set our sights on December 25th, and we just push everything else aside. But that's what the season of Advent is for. It's a season of preparation. It's hopeful anticipation. We are to sit and we're to just be and prepare ourselves, prepare our hearts for the coming of Christ. But so often we just blow right past it. There's a mega church that I pass on my way into work every day. And they have a sign out. They always put signs out for like the big holidays, and they have a sign out advertising their Christmas Eve services. Okay, great. Christmas Eve services at 9 a.m., 11 a.m., and 1 p.m. It's awfully early today for Christmas Eve, but they're big on family stuff, so they do it earlier, for the families. And that's great. It's all well and good, except this year Christmas Eve is on a Sunday, which also happens to be the fourth Sunday of Advent. Again, they don't observe Advent because they're a newer tradition, but they just blow right through it. Christmas Eve, right away. It's that whole mindset of, we focus on Christmas. And not only are they forgetting about Advent, their entire sermon series right now is a Christmas sermon series. We're not even on Christmas yet. The Christmas season liturgically begins on December 25th. There are 12 days of Christmas, just like the song. Starts on December 25th, and then on January 6th, we have the Feast of Epiphany, which one can argue ties into Christmas, but it's not part of the Christmas season. But we rush through things. We're a society that, we have to have it here and now, and we need to slow down. In my sermon I posted on Monday, I used the analogy of, wanting bread. We want the bread now. We don't want to do the work of, gathering everything we need to make it, going through the process of kneading the dough, letting it sit and rise and proof, and then finally baking it. We don't want to go through the process. We just want the end result. And that seems to be how the church is going. We just want Christmas. We don't want everything that leads up to it. We don't want to sit there in hopeful anticipation. One of the binary themes of Advent is light and dark. We're waiting for the light of Christ as we sit in the darkness. And all this does is saying, okay, well, here's the light, without first having us sit in that darkness and be in that darkness. The darkness is not, it's not supposed to be out of fear. We find God in the darkness. And then on Christmas comes the light. Jesus. You can't have light without first being in the dark. And when we forget about, when we just blow past Advent, we forget about everything that leads up to Jesus. We spend the 4 weeks of Advent steeped in the prophets. We read, especially the prophet Isaiah. We read about the voice crying in the wilderness. We read about the prophecy of the woman with child. All of those prophecies lead up to Christmas. But we need to have that. We need to sit and think about that first. We need to just be. When we rush through things, when we put so much focus on where we're heading, we forget about the journey there. And the journey is just as important. As Christians, especially as Lutherans, we believe we are saved. So we can't put all of our focus on the end when we finally go to heaven. We have this journey called life, where we need to do the work down here. We need to bring heaven down to earth. We need to do all the stuff in between before we get to the final destination. And that's the same way with Advent. We need to sit in that dark, waiting for the light. We need to find God in the darkness, find that holy space in the darkness. And then finally on Christmas, we rejoice when the light arrives. These are just my personal feelings about it. I know, and I've been told, there are newer traditions, especially within the evangelical branch of the church, that don't necessarily celebrate Advent because it's lectionary based. But that doesn't downplay the importance of it. I mean, Advent is still celebrated, and Advent is still important. That's why for the fourth Sunday of Advent, which is the morning of Christmas Eve, we're doing a Lessons in Carols service here. Not Christmas lessons and carols, but Advent lessons and carols. We're going to go back. We're going to read through all those prophecies. We're going to sing the Advent hymns as we prepare for the evening when we hear the birth story. Because it's preparation. It's anticipation. You know, my sermon this past week, I opened with, "Are you ready?" Because we have to prepare ourselves. We have to prepare our hearts. We can't rush through life. We can't rush through the seasons. Thankfully, we don't get this rushing nature with Lent as we head to Easter. But I feel like if Advent was longer, if we went with the more 7 or 8 week Advent that a lot of churches go with, maybe we would be we would be more intentional about slowing down. Because, 4 weeks, the Advent wreath, it's a countdown. With each candle you light, that's closer to Christmas. Well, no. Each candle we light brings more and more of the light into the darkness. That's why we light another candle each week. One more candle to break through the darkness. Maybe more and more churches will start adopting Advent. We'll start looking into it and thinking, that's a good idea. I don't know. I can't control what other churches do. I can only really sort of control what my church does. And as long as I'm here, we will celebrate Advent. Whatever church I go to, we will celebrate Advent. Because it's just as important, if not more, than Christmas. Because Advent is about doing the work. It's not about the celebration, it's about doing the work. And we are called to do that work in the world. Thank you for indulging me for this soapbox rant. Like I said, it's been on my mind a lot, and when I saw that church's sign, I was like, okay, I need to talk about this more. Feel free to comment. Feel free to leave a question, either through the podcast page or through Facebook. If you want to debate me on this, if you want to push back, I welcome it. I welcome different thoughts and opinions on this. If you like what you hear, or even if you don't like what you heard this time, but you still want to spread this, share this podcast with your friends and family. Spread the good news that you hear otherwise here to all who need to hear it. The Sermon in the Valley is written and produced at the Patrick Stevens Broadcast Studio in the heart of the Tuscarawas Valley in Ohio. God's peace be with each and every one of you this season and always. And as always, have a blessed day.